Good morning. Today is the last day of September, the 30th, and I'm going to go through my trading plan and look at some levels. But before we do that, let's take a look and see what news could be moving the market. We've got PMI coming in just after the market opens, 9:45, 2 out of 3, and we've got Dallas Fed Manufacturing Index. So potentially watch out around those times because the market could move. But there's a big one coming up today as well at just before 2 o'clock. We've got the Fed Powell speaking. So hopefully I won't be trading by them, but these are the two I'll be watching out for, the top two. Okay, so let's start off by looking at the S&P 500. This is currently looking at the daily. We'll go into the hourly in a second. Just wanted to mark some places of importance. We've been watching this trend line for a few days, and since August. And you can see we finally broke out of it, and we've yet to come back down to retest it. One thing to note as well on this push up, we've had below average volume as well, and got a bit of indecision up here as well in the last couple of days. So kind of expecting a bit of a pullback. I do quite like the bounce around 56.80 on the daily, maybe for a swing. Potentially we could look for a swing short on QQQs or ES right now. But we do have this area to watch as well, so let's just mark that off, which is the top of that pivot, and we're kind of right in it right now as well, so that's an area to bear in mind. If we can break and hold below there, I do quite like a few biased on the short side over the next few days. Volume profile, we don't have much volume until we get back down into this area here. Happens to be right on that trend line, and where we are that area of indecision before we sold off. So this could be a good area for watch for a bounce in the next week. If we hold this pivot and we hold the level we are now, we're just coming back up to the 9 moving average on the daily. We could see it bounce around that area as well, so we are watching for it to break down through that area. So no bias. I want to take every day with a neutral bias. So let's take a look at the hourly and pick up some levels. You can see that level we just put in a second ago. We've kind of been hovering around that area. Let's just mark it off. So one moment we were holding it above, it was the ceiling, and now it's become the floor, and you can see we've bounced a few times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. We also have the moving average coming up as well, this one here, and so this is a 200 moving average. Just clear that again, let's go back to my pencil. So we've got 200 moving average, so this is an area, it's a key area for me. 57.72, 57.70, 57.75. This region happens to be pre-market low as well, so I'm watching for 2 plays around this area. I'm looking for a break and retest low. I really want to see it break below the 200 moving average, come back up and retest it. We'll also be retesting this point of control as well, and that pivot we drew in on the daily. So this is a key area. If we can't break below these areas, then I'm looking for a bounce as well, and I really want to take the bounce on the break of a trend line. So probably the break of, let's draw it in, break of this trend line here. So we could be watching pre-market high. I quite like the break and retest of the 20 moving average, 57.95, 57.90 area. This region is now I'm watching for the break and retest. Obviously we can watch pre-market high, break and retest, but we are quite far away from there. So I really want to try and find something a little bit closer if I can. As for other bounces, I do quite like this bounce down at 57.32. Let's just zoom out so we can just look at that better. You can see that area, it's a big area of resistance above. We broke down, we still held resistance, then we broke through it, and then it became support. So I want to see it come back down into this region for a bounce. I'm also considering this region down here, which is the trend line on that daily, the wedge pattern, and it also happens to be this big area of volume as well on the volume profile. So I'm watching 5700 for a bounce. I'm also watching 5730 area for a bounce as well. Let's just mark that in. I didn't mark it in originally because it's on the trend line, but I've got it there now. I'll clean up the chart at some point because I've got quite a lot of levels I'm not too interested in at the moment. So just to recap, I'm watching 5700 for a bounce, 5732 for a bounce, 5772 down to 5780. So this $8 or this 8-point region, I'm watching for a potential bounce or a break and retest short. So I'm watching for the break and retest short, but I really want to see it clear below the 200 moving average, and that's at 57.72. Or I'm looking for break and retest long, but I really want to see it clear this trend line first. And that's it. Rejection wise at the top, 58.30, 58.28 for the rejection, and we can watch pre-market. Yes, Friday's high, but I don't think there's much up there anyway. There's volumes, don't have much volume up there at all. But the last time we was up in this region, we had this big move down. We had no follow through as well on the next day, and that's why I do quite like. Potentially we are setting up this bit of a wedge pattern here, so we can look for a break and retest long out of it or break and retest short below it. That's my key area. This is the key area I'm watching today, so I'm going to let the market play out for a bit, try not to jump in the first half an hour. Looking at SPY next, same setups. I quite like the rejection up in this region. Yes, Friday's high is closer, so basically 575 for the rejection, or we can watch for the bounce or the break and retest down at pre-market low area, which is 569.80, 569.75 area. And then we've got this nice bounce area down below here, which is an area of confluence. We've got tops of pivots there, tops of pivots and bottoms of pivots there, and we've got the trend line. If I go to the daily, I'll show you where that trend line comes from. So we've got this wedge pattern, same as the ES, but this is more of a straight line. So we've got a big area here, so that's a key area which I'm watching for a bounce. 20 moving average coming up into that region as well, and if we can get down below that area, we can look for a break and retest of this trend line. Let's go back to the hourly. We have to get down below this area first. We've got a big point of control below, so I'm watching 564.50 down to 562, this area for a bounce, and then that's it really for ES. SPX, got some levels above. We've got all-time highs. Is that all-time highs? I'm not quite sure where that's come from. Oh, that's a round psychological one. That's 5800. Let's go back to the hourly again. So 5800 for rejection if we do break long, and then we've got current all-time highs at 57.68 area for the rejection, and then as the other two, I do quite like this region here for a bounce, 5700 psychological number as well, or we can watch it break down, come back up, retest for the short. Closer bounces, I see where the market opens, but 57.33 for the bounce, that's a good level, and I'll take it with ES. So I really only want to go long if it's above that area. If the SPX is above 57.30, then I'll look at ES for a long. If it's broken below, then I won't I won't go long unless it's a scalp. NQ and QQQ next, looking a little bit weaker than ES today. In fact, sorry, looking a bit stronger than ES because we've broken. ES is not. It's coming back into that retest area. So one thing I do quite like on ES as well, which I really do like, is this break and retest as well. We've broken it, and we're coming back in the pre-market to retest it. So 57.80 for the rejection, which I forgot to mention because I do quite like the same on the NQ as well. So we're right into that retest area now as well. And you can see this is a much better area than ES as well. Got a little bit of volume to the left, but we've got a nice defined level at 20,200. 20,184 where we are right now. So this is a rejection area, and maybe on the 5-minute chart we can look for the break of this trend up and go short. We have a potential target of the point of control and the 200 moving average. Other rejections, like this area. You can see we rejected that area twice, Thursday and Friday, once there, and potentially we get back up into that region. We can watch that area for rejection again. That's at 20, that's around 2380, 2400 area for the rejection. And then bounce wise, we've got this bounce area. We also have this region down here as well at 19800 down to, well, this basically this whole region. It's a big area, big point of control in that area. It's a difficult one because it's quite a wide area, so it needs to just get in on a lower time frame to find a good entry. But the best area will be probably that line I've drawn already at 20,000. So watch 20,000 for the bounce. It's a psychological number as well. QQQ, we're coming into this pivot. We rejected it once, broke through, retested it, and now we're back to the retest again. So we're right at the break and retest of the pre-market or Friday's low area. So again, like ES, I quite like the rejection down here, but on the 5-minute chart we can look for a break of trend and then try and find a short. Got a potential target, point of control, and then we've got a few areas with a few levels in place at 481.70. We can watch that area for a bounce, and then the 200 moving average will be in this region as well. Next up is crude oil. Had this big sell-off last week, pulled in, put in a little flag pattern. RSI was almost up to 80, but not quite there, over 70. Bit of a reduced volume on that pullback as well as the price increase, but we're coming right into a break and retest area as well. For yesterday's high, we can watch for rejection all the way up to pre-market high. If we get over pre-market high, we still have this 200 moving average hovering above, and it's an area of confidence as well where we've got tops of pivots, bottoms of pivots as well. So I quite like 70 for the rejection. If we get back up into that region, let's clear this. Like this area for the rejection here, back down, or I would only consider a long if we can break above that area, come back and retest the 200 moving average and then push up. Bounce wise, we've got this region here, haven't quite got down there yet, 66.43. We can also watch Friday's low. We've held that area 3 days in a row as well, so we can watch that area for a bounce as well, and that will be around 67. So let's mark that up. 67 for a bounce. Pre-market low, look at that level, came right in, bounced right off of it, and that's based on this area of confidence as well. So back up the point of control area now, we couldn't quite break through it, so we can watch for a bounce down here. Gold. The only place I like for a bounce will be here, just mark that off. Oh, that area there, which would be 26.50. We've got the 200 moving average, we'll come back down. We've got reduced volume coming down into that as well, so potentially that could show us that we are still in an uptrend, but we've got reduced volume from selling. And then usually when you get reduced volume, then we're building up for a bounce, looking for the long. So we can watch for the break and retest. It's pretty strong stock right now. Break and retest of yesterday's low long. We can also watch that area for rejection as well, just in case it doesn't break above. But we are in a bounce area right now, so the 200 moving average, 26.50 for the bounce. That's the only area I consider. Not a big fan of any shorts just yet, unless we can get back up into this region or a double top. I believe we're currently in all-time high area. Yeah, we're all-time highs as well. We're pretty extended. In fact, really extended. We're coming back to the 8 moving average. We're back there now. But that's the 20, the 50 and the 200. So we do need a little bit of pullback if we want to continue this trend up. Volume wise, above average volume overall, slight reduction in volume last few days. Interesting to look at the RSI. Last time we had RSI up there, we had a little bit of a sell-off. We've got RSI up there again, and we maybe be looking at a little bit of a sell-off there. Any other areas RSI? This area here, RSI was up there and it sold off a bit. So you can pretty much RSI over 75 there, and eventually we sold off. We had a bit of a divergence there actually. You can see increase in price, decrease in RSI, anything else, that's it really. So main level, if we do pull back this week, watch for a bounce in that region at 2500, and that's it really. Don't like going long just yet because it's so far extended from everything, but we definitely need a bit of a decent pullback. RTY, which is the Russell 2000, sitting in this region, hasn't quite decided what it wants to do yet. If we come back down to this region, this is the point of control. We are looking at daily, so let's go back to the hourly. It's good to see it on the daily anyway. We had a bit of a spike up and then a reduction in volume, spike up, reduction in volume. So potentially showing us quite bullish on the daily. Go back to the hourly. We can probably get rid of a lot of these trend lines. Break and retest a pre-market high I quite like. You can see slight increase in volume here. That's more neutral. Slight increase. Price is slightly going up, showing a little bit of strength. Not a great deal. So we can watch two levels. Break and retest of pre-market low short. Break and retest of pre-market high long. We have a potential target of Friday's high and all-time highs. Is this all-time highs? I've forgotten. No, not quite all-time highs up here. Just double check. Oh no, miles away from all-time highs. So was, unlike everything else hitting all-time highs, the Russell's yet to get anywhere near all-time highs. Ooh. So let's keep an eye on a break and retest of this area. But if you look at the grand scheme on the daily, we are looking bullish. We have this inverse head and shoulders pattern. Neckline is quite clearly there. So we can watch this area. If we pull back in onto this trend line, then we watch for a bounce at 2180, I think that is. Or we can look for the break and retest long. Next up is YM, and then we're pretty much done. This is definitely all-time highs. Look at that, just a massive uptrend. Just what, look, we got this topping tail, but not much volume. You know, we really want to see bigger volume than that if we want to see an end of a trend. So just keep an eye on that, just in case it's a bit of exhaustion at the top. We're coming right into the point of control, and this is a bounce area right now. So I do quite like the break and retest of pre-market high long into previous all-time highs. And the only place I like the bounce, I do quite like that area here. Oh, go back. This is the region I quite like for the bounce, this region here. 42,120, 4,200. We could also watch this region where we are right now for the bounce. Let's just zoom in. Exactly where we are. We was putting in ceiling, now it's become the floor. So what used to be the ceiling to the floor, so just mark that off. 42,500. Around psychological number as well, so we can watch that area for the bounce, but like trend continuation with this. So break and retest, putting in a bit of a lower volume dip. Break and retest off pre-market high. Maybe consider, yeah, no, pre-market high is the best one at 42.68, 42.680 I meant. And then finally Bitcoin. Let's go back to the daily. We're right up in this region, so we've broken the level. This is the level we've been watching for a few weeks. Kind of broken it, we kind of hovered, we kind of went sideways, and then we had this bullish breakout. You see this, a bit of an engulfing candle or a bear sandwich. Broke out, we're coming back in to retest that region now. Do quite like this for the long in this region. We're now above the 200 moving average on the daily. Tested it, spiked and test. We really want to see it break out over this pivot, really, this region here, to confirm the break of this trend or this channel up. Or the only thing I can see now, if we can't get above that area, we could come back and retest the bottom of this channel again, like we've been doing all year since April, February this year. So in a key region, I missed the add down here. I added there. I did have a few ads, but I am looking for another add if we get back down to this region. Don't want to add anymore. I did add here because I thought we were seeing a similar pattern where we pushed out, broke out, and then pushed up, and then obviously it came all the way back down again. But I am looking to add a bit more this week, probably on its way back down. I just want to bring my average price, get my better average price from this one I added. Bad ad that was. Basically watch 66,486 for the break and retest long if it's day trade, or we can watch for bounces at various points. 59,000 or 50,000, the two areas I'm watching. Let's just quickly look at order flow on the ES. So just confirm our levels. Right now we're coming, we've just, look at that, we talked about the rejection point and it's rejected exactly where we waited for it. I'm not sure I would have taken it even if I wasn't doing the pre-market video. Really want to see it in, reject it during market hours. So let's use that as an area, 52.80, and we're watching for a break and retest pre-market low, 57.70 area. So let's go to the order flow, see if there's anything unusual happening. So there's a bit of a divergence, you can see this. We've got prices increasing, whilst cumulative delta is decreasing. And what does that mean? That basically means that we've got sellers, there's nobody interested in buying because we've got negative cumulative delta, and the price is coming up with no follow through, so something's been absorbed. So potentially the price, let's have a look, see in levels, at this region here as well. Potentially it's a bounce area from about 750, which was exactly where we saw it bounce at 57.75. This is the region here. Yeah, so I would say we've got a little bit of absorption down here by buyers. So we've got aggressive selling, but the price is increasing, potentially showing us a bounce area, but we're right in pre-market volume right now, so it's hard to go by. But this is what I'll be looking for if we are coming up to a level we're watching, for example 57.72 bounce area, pre-market low, or break and retest short, or if we're coming into a break and retest of 57.90. 57.90 not quite on this chart. This area here I'll be looking for a divergence as well, to hopefully show there's a rejection, or I'll be looking for higher increased volume from the buyers if we're looking, but price going sideways. So I'll be looking for increase in cumulative delta if the price is going sideways, because then potentially we could be seeing a bit of a breakout where the remaining sellers absorbing before we do finally break out. I think that's it really. Just looking for areas of high volume. They kind of mix and match on the 30-minute filters. The only thing I can see is this cumulative delta divergence. Okay, something to keep an eye on. But this stream will be live all day today, so keep an eye on. These are the two. This is the chart. I watch this chart, and I watch this chart. These are the two charts I watch when it's coming into my level, and I really ignore it until it gets to one of the levels I'm watching. Okay, so let's flick back to the main screen. Okay, so that's it really. So just recap my levels I'm watching today. I'm watching for a bounce around this 57.72 down to pre-market low area 57.75. I'm also looking for a break and retest short of this area, so this is a key area for me. In fact, this entire region I quite like a short, and I do quite like what I'm seeing here right now. This break and retest of Friday's low. I may keep an eye on that when the market opens. Maybe we can watch for break of this trend on the hourly, and maybe look to find an entry. I'm also looking for a break and retest of 57.92, which was the point of control area, and this area of confluence, tops of pivots, bottoms of pivots, most touches of the candle. Break and retest long into the pre-market high, and then we've got last week's all-time highs. I'm watching this region for a rejection, and I think that's pretty much it. Okay, thank you for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button if you find value in this. Otherwise, I will be back tomorrow, and the order flow stream is now live as well.